Shh, shh. The podcast is starting. Welcome to the OT Download, from practice to podcast. This is where we unpack everything you didn't know you needed to know about occupational therapy. Whether you're an OT, an OTA, a student, or simply curious, this is your place to explore the real stories, challenges, and opportunities shaping our profession. Each episode will dive into fresh topics from ethics to AI in practice, to the dynamics between OTs and AHAs, the differences between community and medico-legal work, and even what it's like stepping into the courtroom. You'll hear honest conversations on mental health, well-being, boundaries, and early career experiences, alongside insights from lawyers, allied health professionals, and other experts. We'll bust common misconceptions and shine a light on the parts of OT that don't always get spoken about. So if you're ready for insights, stories, and a no-nonsense take on occupational therapy, this is your download. Let's get into it. Hi everybody, welcome to MLEA's first podcast, the OT Download. We're going to start off with a bit of a juicy one, but first of all we're going to introduce ourselves. So my name's Katie, I am MLEA's General Manager and I've been an OT for about 15 years. I've always worked in the community and I've worked in the NGO since the rollout back in 2017 up in Townsville. I'm joined here by two other OTs from MLEA, and you guys are going to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm the paediatric OT here at MLEA. I have been an OT for about 4 years now, and have loved every second of it. And yeah.
What makes you so interested in peds, Janelle?
Good question. I was a support worker for two little kids when I was studying OT, and that just sparked my passion, kind of just seeing what they needed and how they thrived, and it just sparked it. And
gone from there.
Yeah.
Thriving.
Yep.
Nice. Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm an adult OT. I do a bit of everything in the adult space. Still trying to find my niche, but loving every part of it.
Excellent. Shall we dive in?
Let's.
So our first topic for our first episode is, given all the recent changes with NDIS, we want to talk about the common misconceptions of what people perceive to be OT, because I'm sure we've all had someone or multiple people say, oh, you get people back to work, or oh, you work with kids. Triggering?
Always.
So I guess what are some things that you've seen in the media recently on OT or lack of?
That we get paid too much would be the first one. And that, well, I suppose there's everything with the travel as well, and that we don't deserve to be paid for the travel we do as well would be a big one. But also, there also isn't much as well. There's usually only the negative side of things too.
So you don't see a lot of positive influence on what OT is. Do you think there's a misunderstanding of what we actually do?
Yeah.
Yes, and definitely with the recent NDIS changes and the funding, with what the media is portraying, it's negatively affecting kind of what our participants' families are kind of thinking. Like we had a participant's family that didn't really understand the price guide and was just saying that we're money gouging and we shouldn't deserve the money that we charge, and it's kind of sad to hear, because any other profession people don't get this much backlash from what they charge.
Do you feel like because OT is so broad, it's harder for people to understand and grasp like something tangible about what we do? So, I mean, if you think about physiotherapy, like, yeah, they work in respiratory and musculoskeletal and lots of different areas as well. But I feel like when people think physio, they think sports injury or I've torn a muscle or something like that. When people think of psychologists, they think of mental health. So I think it's a very clear, outcome of what those kinds of services provide. Whereas when I say, well, what do you do as an OT? People just think return to work. Whereas that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the occupation, right? And
yeah, people think occupation, people think work.
Yeah.
What is an occupation, Janelle? Do you want to share it for the audience?
Well, what I think an occupation is something that we kind of need to do and have to do in our day and want to do. So I kind of look at it in the space of the peds and kind of more of development, like developmental milestones, kind of what they need to do, which could be anything like their emotional regulation, their toileting, their social skills, executive functioning, so being attended on a task, so focusing on a task, or problem solving, so all of that side of things, which people don't understand that that's kind of what occupation is. They just, as you say, think about work. When you actually look at it and break it down, there's so much more to what actually occupation means than...
Well, like in a more basic term, like an occupation can be showering.
Yeah.
So it's helping someone be independent with showering.
Yeah.
So I see OT as, like, OTs are the experts of function. So anything that impacts your function, an OT can help with, right? So yeah, it is broad, but when you look at it simply like that, I feel like it's easier to understand.
I think of it like it's anything that occupies your time. And when you put it to people like that, they're like, well, showering occupies my time. And I'm like, well, yes, I can help you with showering. Or it's just all those little things. And I think my favourite thing, and I say that sarcastically, is when people are like, oh, what do you do for work? And you're like, oh, I'm an occupational therapist. And they're like, that's so cool. And you can just see behind their eyes that they have, like, no idea.
Yeah.
Isn't that just like physio? I've had that a lot of times.
And then you really have to, like, you don't want to not belittle them, but you don't want to be rude and be like, do you know what that means either? Like,
so you wait for them to ask?
Yeah. And they don't. You're like, okay, well, it is what it is.
What about, have you seen any 60 Minutes show? I know there's a lot in the media relating to the NDIS more specifically at the moment, given the recent changes with the price guide as of this financial year. But what about like 60-minute stories or movies or TV shows, like dramatized TV shows? Do you see OT represented anywhere there?
Not really.
Like, I would say you do, but it's like a glimpse, and it's like, oh yeah, you're occupational therapist, and then that's it.
Have you got any examples that you can think of recently?
Well, there's like, I mean, in terms of like TV shows, movies, like Grey's Anatomy.
Have you seen an OT on Grey's?
Yeah, I swear there's one. I'm not making it up, I swear.
I have to go watch 11
they're
seasons.
Like, but they're like,
yeah, try and find it.
They only say like occupational therapist. That's it. It's very like surface level.
It's because we're not dramatized enough.
Yeah.
Like psychology, psychiatry.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And physio, you often see them, walking with a walk belt down the hallway or helping them mobilize down a hospital ward.
I feel like all the 60-minute stuff, I feel like it's just been the physios mainly. I don't really feel like OTs have been included. I know that OTs have been interviewed for it, but it's not necessarily made the final cut.
Well, I think it's been more towards the physios because they got that $10 price cut, so they've been trying to really publicise that and kind of show the public on why it's a bad thing. So kind of we've hit the back burner on that one.
So let's talk a little bit more about the actual price guide. Like, I know we've talked about the media misconception of OT, but let's dive into the spiciness that is the price guide changes. So obviously, OT hourly rate hasn't changed, but our travel has been cut. Do you feel like people don't really understand where the money goes?
Yes.
Have you had any recent client experiences?
Yes. The situation I touched base on just before, he didn't understand where the money went, and we kind of had to say, well, we are a small business and we're not a charity. So, we still got bills to pay and
business
overheads and everything.
Administration costs, rent on the building that you work in.
Yeah, and
vehicle maintenance.
They just didn't understand that.
So they feel like that the $193.99 hourly rate goes direct to the OTs rather than take into account all the other business fees.
That would be nice. But yes, they do. I had one actually just on Friday, and we were signing some paperwork, and the person was like, "Oh, that's nice that you get paid $193.99 an hour." And I was like, "Oh, we actually don't." And then I had to break it down to explain that some of it is like business related expenses and things like that.
So what about the travel side of things? Have you had any conversations about that with clients?
I feel like some clients don't really understand what's happened, to be quite honest.
Well, it doesn't really affect them, does it?
No, because like we're still coming out to see them and things like that. I think the people who it's probably hit harder is like support coordinators and things. We have some clients in like Gym Boomba and things like that, and I suppose some of people out there we're trying to have to like match up visits so that we can share travel and things like that. I feel like there's just not that understanding from some people.
It's definitely, I suppose, hit my calendar. Reagan and I have been having to work quite closely together actually to make sure everyone is pulled together
Geographically.
Yeah. Not saying that they weren't beforehand, but having to really make sure that everyone's in the right spot. But then again, you have to fit in, you know, kindy timings, school timings and everything.
There's so many variables
which
that you
is
have to
really hard.
Yeah. So what do you think would be an impact on the travel long term? And I suppose particularly for small businesses, because like when you think about it, like certain components of OT cannot be done in a clinic or in the office. Like, yeah, we do report writing and things like that. But why home visits over clinic spaces, do you reckon?
Well, I know from an adult point of view, I can't really measure for grab rails and things from a clinic.
Surprising.
Shock.
But even if you were to have a photo, you still can't
No, it's
measure.
just not proper
not
clinical
accurate.
practice. That's just not how we do things. And even things like AT, like wheelchairs, walkers, things like that, you need to go to the house so you know it fits everywhere. Otherwise, then we'll have on the other hand all these not badly prescribed pieces of AT, but pieces of AT that don't work in the environments that the people need
PEO
it.
model fails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true though, like the whole point of assistive tech and equipment and all that type of stuff is to work in the home environment. So you need to go there. And also some people don't have the means to come to us either. Like some of our clients live in Gym Boomba, Ipswich, things like that. It's like 45 minutes to an hour away. Like, and when some of them have physical disabilities, it's just not viable.
I mean, I've like historically done a lot of home mods and equipment prescription. I think that's been most of my career until I stepped into the medico-legal world. But I couldn't do any visit in a clinic. Like I know, like, you know, with capacity building services. So Janelle, you could do some services in a clinic with pediatrics.
Oh,
however, environmental factors can come into play as well. So kids don't always match up to a clinic space well, and like seeing them in their own home environment, I would assume would be very beneficial, right?
Well, that's the NDIS framework, is to actually deliver services in the natural environment, which is kindergarten, community, and the home. And you're right, most kids struggle with coming into like a clinical space.
That emotional regulation wouldn't really...
And you can't practice emotional regulation strategies without being in like the natural environment. And I get it all the time, especially at kindies, helping kids go through their emotions and teaching how to regulate themselves in real time actually helps them. And they've even communicated that back to me, the ones that can. So it just makes sense to do therapy in the natural environment.
So even if the NDIS has reduced what we get paid for travel, so therefore you think, oh, well, maybe a clinic space would be more viable for small businesses, but it's not going to solve the problem. And yeah, home modifications, can't do that in a clinic either. So there's definitely certain services that we cannot provide other than in the home environment or the workplace, if that's the goal of the person.
All right, let's change it up a bit. I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed OT a lot on TikTok and Instagram lately. What have you guys noticed?
Yeah, I feel like the algorithm is speaking strongly. I'm seeing a lot of mostly international OT pages on TikTok. I know I share a couple with you guys. Janelle, I send you a couple. I think most of the ones I've seen are relating to like stroke rehabilitation, neurodiversity, or what was that one? The nature OT.
The nature OT, yes.
Tell us about nature OT, please. You know more about it than I do.
The video that you sent me was just removing the clinical space and just doing everything outside in nature, which was very interesting, as some aspects of what we do can't happen outside, but I'm guessing obviously they don't really touch on that stuff as well. If you look at my day, you could probably say I do a little bit of nature OT because I'm outside in the playground at kindergartens. That might count, but it's a bit of a push.
I don't know how transferable it is, like to other environments. Because as we were just saying before, you go in the natural environment, and it is a natural environment, but the natural environment of doing like daily activities,
Is not
showering
always
and brushing your teeth, isn't always outside.
So you think sometimes the functional outcome of therapy in an outdoor space may not be transferable to actual functional goals?
Correct.
Yep.
Sometimes it might be.
Yep.
But I think overall, when we think about it, particularly for children, probably not.
Like I've been seeing a lot of like OT students, mostly I think from America again, just showing kind of what they're doing. And actually a lot of them I've seen as their inventions that they've made.
Oh, like I've seen splinting ones like that. And
Yeah.
They say like they walk you through what they're doing to make a splint in their uni tute.
Yeah, no,
It's really cool.
I've seen ones where they've like invented stuff.
Like dressing or, you know, like functional aids or assistive technology.
Which has been like, interesting. I don't think I've seen one that would actually work, but
It's all about
it's
all about the process of
Yeah.
thinking outside the box, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's what you learn as a student when you're doing OT is not everything has to fit in a box. Isn't that the whole point of OT?
yeah.
I've seen an Australian Aussie OT student, and she does it really well, and I think it's good because she actually shows how much work goes into our degree, because I think that's another side of things, that it's actually a lot of work to get to where we are today as well. And even in some of her videos, I know she's done some in the past where she does different subjects and she goes, oh wow, I didn't even know OT was in these areas as well. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I'm 15 years out and I didn't really know an OT did medico-legal work, but we'll touch on that in another podcast episode, I think.
Well, I didn't know that until I started working here. So
So what do you think the cons are of how OT is represented on social media?
So a lot of videos that I'm seeing are kind of like interventions and strategies to help with young kids, which is great, but I suppose it's not very individualized to support. Like, yes, they're great, but one solution might not work for child B and could actually be detrimental for their development.
So oversimplified?
Yeah.
And then you have people in the comments asking for, my child does this, or my wheelchair's like this, can I have one? Or, you know what I mean? Expecting the OT to then comment or reply and provide like professional advice, which you're not really meant to do.
On socials?
I don't think so. Anyway, with ARPA and all that, are we? I don't think we are
I
meant
don't
to.
believe so.
No. So then it's not really, what's the word? Regulated again.
Agree. Here's a fun one. How about assistive technology being sold in places like Aldi and Kmart? Are you triggered?
Triggered. But it makes me think of, was it Chelsea that sent us that picture of Temu? Of the
Oh, even more triggered.
there was like this lady in a wheelchair on her landing, and then these ramps that were so dangerous.
Yeah.
45-degree angle.
So dangerous, being sold as like a solution on Temu, and it was like, that's going to break necks and kill people.
Yeah. I think what people don't understand though, great. Kmart and Audi are bringing out all these
Assistive
AT
aids.
solutions. Yeah, they might be a bit cheaper and all that, but they're probably not as safe. They're probably not made as well. And how do you actually know it's going to work for what you need it to work for as well?
It's giving suction rails.
Oh, don't. That's another podcast. It's just like, I understand it. Some people just need like quick, easy fixes.
But things like reaches.
yeah,
Sure.
It's
It's not really risky to buy a reacher from somewhere like Kmart.
no.
But when you're getting into mobility aids and ramps,
Yeah.
where OT input is valuable in the prescription of a certain piece of equipment for an individual, it's not a one size fits all.
No. Even like a shower chair though, I would not be getting a shower chair from Kmart and putting it in my shower. Only because I know that their stuff isn't made well either. And like, who knows what could happen if you put it in a shower, wet surfaces, doesn't have great like non-slip either. Even more of a hazard.
Took a bit of a segue off the social media bandwagon, but I just thought important, right? Because you think of all the like we're talking about risks and cons of misrepresenting OT and oversimplifying and it not being regulated. Well, that's the same as equipment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's still on like in the media too.
Yeah.
Because there's just like so many random websites that are like, here's a mobility scooter for $50. And you're like, oh, you know what I mean though? And you're like, oh, that's no.
$50 mobility scooter.
I don't fact check me on that one. That was just like a random price.
Interestingly, you say that. I completed a functional capacity assessment for this gentleman, and he was going on and how he had this mobility scooter, and he said it's very unsafe. And what he pulled out of his car was not what was pictured up here. It was this, I think it was three-wheeled, like 3 wheels, and then this tiny little wheel at the front with no support. And he was very tall, so it's just like the smallest movement, he was becoming very unstable. And after asking more questions of where did he get it from, why did he get it, he reported that he got it from Amazon, and he liked the look of it because it didn't look
like a piece of disability equipment.
And after using it a lot, he realized how unsafe it was. But at that point of time, it was the only equipment that was actually enabling him to leave the house and go out to the community.
So it was the best of the best he had at that point in time.
But he definitely realized that it's not a long-term solution, and the more that he declined, the more that he's like, I really need to get something that's specialized for what, my disability needs.
Cue your visit as an OT. Was that the goal of your visit with him?
Yeah, so we were doing a functional capacity assessment because he was under the wrong classification under NDIS. He was middle-aged, but he was under early intervention, which is obviously, as we know, for the peds. And while doing the visit, it sparked that he had declined so much since he'd last seen an OT that he needed quite a lot of equipment in place because of his diagnosis. So it was kind of a blessing that we had to do that assessment for him.
And that's on Amazon scooters.
Yeah.
On that, the reason people do that as well is because they don't have access to OTs under all the schemes that we have. Like, for instance, NDIS, my aged care, it's like long wait list, and sometimes they just need a shower chair quickly. So like you can't really like blame people for getting it when there's like also these like systematic
But then you look at privately, like, you take, for example, a mental health care plan. You get, is it 10 sessions in 12 months?
Yeah.
How many OT sessions can you get under Medicare?
It's changed. You used to be able to have it all under one provider, so you could all get 5 OT sessions. Now you can't. So you could get 4 OT, 1 speech. But if you are Indigenous, it's actually you get 10.
Okay.
But that has to be face-to-face.
Yes.
And how much can you realistically get done in 5 or 10 visits?
I've done a lot of these out in rural Australia, and the benefit of them, there was none, because they asked for a report kind of at the end of it, and you can't bill for that. You can't bill for the travel. So if you've got a clinical setting, you know,
Much better way to provide those private services under Medicare.
Yeah, but most of the need is in the community, which is why they've kind of gone to their doctor and GP, asked for these services, which then we can't really deliver.
Interesting indeed. I feel like we could talk about this all day.
So, would you ever post content?
Depends. Like, I feel the content I would post would be pretty niche OT because I've got a real passion for medico-legal and I don't know how many people would be interested in hearing about that.
Another reason to do it, though.
Yeah.
Educate the people.
I feel like I would. I like this kind of content where it's shared, it's an open discussion, a bit controversial, a bit spicy.
What would your first video be?
Come back to me. Circle over to Janelle and ask.
Interesting you say that. I'm actually starting up my own podcast. Something I've wanted to do for many years, but never kind of had the courage to do it. So what I want to share is kind of self-regulation and educate families about what regulation is and how to support their children with co-regulation and kind of educate them on that, and then do toy reviews at the end as well.
Oh, that's cool.
What would you post, Em?
I don't know if I could. I'll be honest. I think the thing for me would be the time. I don't know if I could dedicate the time and passion to it.
And the emotional labour.
Yeah. And I also just think, I don't know what I would do because, again, my role is so broad. So it'd be like, where would I begin?
So much content, so little time. Time to bust some OT myths. I know this first one's going to be a little bit triggering. OTs are just glorified life coaches, not health professionals. Give us the obvious answer, guys.
Incorrect.
Very, very incorrect. I've met a few life coaches, follow a few on Instagram, and to be honest, I'm quite confused about what they do. I suppose I see the 2 main ones I follow. One of them is for women, and it's kind of trying to teach yourself to let yourself go, kind of stop taking yourself.
Release your inhibitions.
Yeah, stop taking yourself so seriously. And she does camps and everything.
Okay.
And maybe it's just me, but I just can't see myself doing that. And it's, if you're comparing it to OT, there's no evidence.
Back on Janelle's point, with evidence-based practice, everything we do has research back behind it as well. We're not just pulling it out from nowhere type of thing. And whilst life coaches have a place in society, we're not the same at all.
Apples and pears.
Janelle, next one for you. Pediatric OT is just playtime.
If you're looking through a window, you might just think it's playtime, but everything we do has a purpose. So if you're looking at playing Pop the Pig, if you're looking through the window, it may just look like we're playing a normal game, but there's so much more meaning behind Pop the Pig than just playing. It works on fine motor development by, pincing the burgers and putting it in the mouth, color recognition, numbers, taking turns, social cues. Like, there's so much that it works on. And that's with all play. Like, it's just not unstructured. It's got purpose behind it. It's got meaning, and it's got a goal.
So play is the modality, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Well, play is a child's main form of occupation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they learn.
Back to occupation. Full circle, guys.
So I have one. A lot of people think that OTs are just failed physiotherapists.
Bum, bum.
So what do you guys think?
I feel like, yeah, I can see the misconception of what people, people think, oh, you wanted to do physio, couldn't get in, so you chose OT. It must be easier. The reason I like OT is because it's so holistic and broad, and you're not just jammed into this one niche. There's so much that you can do. I started out my career doing assistive technology prescription and then home mods, and now I'm doing medico-legal. You've gone from rehab into peds.
Yeah.
You can be a hand therapist. You can work in aged care. You can work in a hospital setting. You can work in community. And I feel like there's never one stop that fits all. I feel like that it's creative and there's so much to do that you never stop learning. I feel like there's no repetition in OT. You might draw on previous experience with clients that you've seen, but everything's individualized. And I feel like that's what makes it a more unique career path. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, I would say that OT is very different to physio. Physio is more muscles, kind of straight to the point.
Black and white.
Find something, treat it kind of thing.
Anatomy, physiology, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Correct. OTs, yes, we know, obviously anatomy and physiology is part of our degree, but it just goes way beyond that. A lot more...
Holistic.
Yeah, holistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Last myth for the sesh. OTs are just basket weavers and we just do craft all day.
Incorrect.
OT did start out doing basket weaving back in like the 70s.
Yeah, wasn't that part of like the start of the profession?
Yeah. However,
hasn't continued.
it's also 55 years later.
I also can't sew or weave anything to save my life.
I've never done that in an OT session.
Craft.
I've done craft.
Basket, yeah, craft, yes.
But there's a
basket weaving,
functional outcome.
Yeah, it's therapeutic. There's a
Yes.
reason behind it. Fine motor, emotional regulation.
Yep.
All those types of things.
There's a lot of things that we do, I suppose, that our participants don't see, like the report writing and the communications with stakeholders, suppliers, even just admin, just trying to get appointments booked in and figuring out how to do stuff. So it would be kind of nice to do craft all day, but realistically with the NDIS and the high need of reports and showing the participants function, that there's a lot of stuff we do behind the scenes that take away from the basket weaving, I suppose.
I don't think I've ever done craft with a client. Coming from someone who's not really done a lot of capacity building across my career, but that's never really been something that I would focus on with prescribing a complex home mod or a piece of equipment.
I don't really do much craft either. It's just it becomes really messy, and if I'm seeing multiple kids a day, I don't really want to go to my next client if it's an adult, with paint all over me and that. And most of the time kindies, yes, they're already messy, but sometimes you can see they're a bit triggered if I make a mess.
Yeah.
So,
and there's also a lot of craft activities that they would also do
yeah.
within the kindy as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always doing crafts, so
Yeah.
they can play with my Pop the Pig or Pop the Pirate, something else.
You
like
like Pop the Pig, don't you?
He's
game.
just rotated back. I rotate my toys. He's just come back in. Pop
Love
the
it.
pirates out. Pop the pigs back in.
I love it.
But you know what? You could say that what we do in our role is craft.
Hey, I see what you did there.
Like prescribing a wheelchair.
It's our craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
You're
I love it. All right, one last thing before we wrap up. The weirdest thing someone has ever thought you have done as an OT.
Ooh, I got
The
a good
expectation on you.
one. I got a good one. I used to go out and see a gentleman at an aged care facility, and the nurses always thought that I was there to help do his personal cares.
Only his personal cares.
Yeah, only. Yeah. So there was a lot of education around that, and it turned out to be that every time I arrived, they would just make it that it was
Prep the shower.
personal care type, which
Yeah.
is a bit frustrating. But yeah, that was my one.
M.
When I used to work out west, I did a lot of like home care package, my aged care, and I went out to a lady one time, and she was really happy to see me. And then probably 5 minutes into the visit, she's like, okay, so let's get on to like talking about installing the Venetians. I really want them here, here, and here. I was like, oh, okay. Miscommunication here.
You've turned OT turned maintenance man.
Yeah, honestly. She's like, but I really need them to keep the light out because I keep falling because the light is coming in. And I was like, oh, I'm like really sorry to hear that you're falling, but there's other things we can do. You can still get your Venetians, but not me.
So you didn't install the Venetians?
No, she was actually quite upset that I didn't put it in her letter of recommendation.
Well, thank you for joining us for our first podcast. That was pretty entertaining for me. Join us for episode 2.